Jason was a young footballer who once had big dreams. As a child, he imagined himself playing in the world's biggest stadiums, scoring goals, and lifting trophies. But reality had been cruel to him. After years of struggle, rejection, and injuries, his confidence had been shattered. The once fiery passion he had for football had turned into disappointment. Every trial he faced, every door that closed on him, made him wonder if he was even meant to pursue this dream. He was at the verge of giving up, feeling like all the sacrifices he had made led to nothing. One day, Jason's coach arranged a special meeting for him. A world-renowned football legend, Cristiano Ronaldo, was visiting the training facility. Ronaldo, known not just for his footballing brilliance but also for his relentless discipline and mentality, had agreed to spend some time with young athletes. Jason, however, had little hope that meeting a star like Ronaldo would change anything in his life. After all, what could a superstar possibly say that would erase years of disappointment? When Ronaldo arrived, he exuded his characteristic confidence and energy. He greeted the young players with a warm smile, but his sharp eyes quickly noticed Jason's disheartened expression. As the other players surrounded Ronaldo, eager to listen and take pictures, Jason stood at the back, reluctant to believe that any of this truly mattered. "You look like someone with a story to tell," Ronaldo said, approaching him personally. "What's your name?" "Jason," he answered, barely able to hide his nervousness. "Jason," Ronaldo repeated with a nod. "Tell me, what's holding you back?" Jason hesitated before answering. His heart pounded as he thought about all the disappointments, all the missed chances. "I've worked hard, but it's like I'm not good enough. Every time I get close to success, something happens. An injury, a bad game, another rejection. I don't know if I can keep going." Ronaldo's eyes grew serious. "Do you think I got here without struggle? Without rejection? Without failure?" Jason looked at him in surprise. How could someone like Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the greatest footballers of all time, understand failure? In Jason's mind, Ronaldo had always been a superstar, someone who was born to succeed. But the way Ronaldo looked at him, earnest and determined, made Jason realize that there was more to his story. Ronaldo sat down next to Jason and shared his journey. "When I was young, I left my home and family to train in a different city. I was just a boy alone, crying in my bed at night because I miss my family. I wasn't the strongest player. People told me I was too skinny, too weak, not good enough. But I knew one thing: I would never quit." He looked at Jason intently. "Do you know what separates great players from the rest? It's not talent, it's mindset. The willingness to keep going when everything tells you to stop. The ability to see rejection as fuel to work harder." Jason listened, mesmerized. He had read about Ronaldo's rise, but hearing it directly from him made it real. Ronaldo continued, his voice firm but encouraging. "Every time someone told me I wasn't good enough, I trained harder. Every injury I faced, I recovered stronger. When I failed, I didn't let it break me, I let it shape me." Jason swallowed hard, feeling a new sense of understanding wash over him. "How do you keep believing even when everything goes wrong?" he asked. Ronaldo smiled. "Because I trust the process. Every failure is just a lesson, every setback a chance to come back stronger. Champions aren't made in comfort, they are made in adversity." That night, Jason couldn't sleep. Ronaldo's words echoed in his mind. He realized that all this time, he had been looking at failure the wrong way. It wasn't a sign that he should give up, it was a sign that he needed to push even harder. The next morning, he arrived at training earlier than ever, pushing himself beyond his limits. He stayed longer after practice, working on his weaknesses, analyzing his mistakes instead of fearing them. He no longer feared failure. Instead, he welcomed the challenge. When he got tired, he thought of Ronaldo training alone as a child, crying at night, but never stopping. When his body ached, he reminded himself that champions were not built in comfort. Weeks turned into months, and Jason's game improved dramatically. His confidence returned, his movements became sharper, and his passion reignited. His coach noticed the transformation, and soon, new opportunities came knocking. Scouts started paying attention to him again. He was no longer the boy who hesitated, he was the player who fought. One day, before an important match, Jason received a message. It was from Ronaldo. "Remember, champions are made in adversity. Keep pushing. Never stop believing. Jason stepped onto the pitch that day with a fire in his eyes. He was no longer just a struggling player. He was a warrior ready to fight for his dreams. Every pass, every sprint, every goal carried the weight of his journey. And this time, he wasn't afraid. Years later, Jason stood on the biggest stage of his life. He had overcome his struggles, fought through challenges, and was now playing professionally. After a crucial match, he was asked in an interview how he had managed to turn things around. Smiling, he repeated the words that had changed his life: "Champions aren't made in comfort, they are made in adversity." Among the thousands watching, Ronaldo sat in the stands, nodding with pride. He had once helped a hopeless footballer believe again, and now, Jason was inspiring countless others. One journey had ended, but another had just begun. Jason was no longer just a struggling athlete, he was a symbol of perseverance, a reminder that success belongs to those who refuse to give up. And it all started with one conversation, one piece of advice, and one decision: to never stop believing. The story ends here. If you want to hear more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give it a like. Thank you so much for subscribing and liking, and see you in the next story.